thank you to both Professor Terry and to the Minister for being with us today. Now, my laptop is still shut down, so I am almost entirely reliant on what's on the screen, so bear with me as I take a quick squiz as to see what's next. You will see that there is a very, very busy agenda today. Not a lot of time for consideration other than exactly what's on that screen and the questions that we're going to be answering from the floor. We start with now the keynote speech, and I'd like to welcome Jeff Phillips to the podium. Jeff, would you like a mic, or are you happy to use? You're happy to do this? I'd just like to say I haven't met Jeff yet, so hello, Jeff, and thank you for joining us today. Jeff is the partner with Jekara Group and has a extensive experience in. I'll leave it to you, Jeff.
All right. Well,
thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, and I can see by the time I'm already finished the program, so it's not going to be much. Yeah, Jeff Phillips, I'm the partner at Jekara. Likewise, I pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land and acknowledge their elders with them. Now, let's see how good I am at driving. Which button?
Top green button.
Top green one. There we go. Technology. Okay, so who's Jekara? We are a venture capital fund. We focus on very early stage startups, and we only focus in the clean tech sector at all. Why clean tech mainly? Why restrict ourselves to that? We think that Australia actually has fantastic opportunity in this area. Okay, if you look at some of the statistics that are coming out, we are one of the fastest adopters of new emerging clean technology. The rate of investment that's going into it is growing with it, and as you can actually see on that side there, our country is blessed with an abundance of minerals that form the foundation of a lot of emerging clean technologies. So who is in the team? We're actually a female-led venture capital team in this. Cara Frederick is the managing partner. She actually comes from the USA. She's spent all her working life in Wall Street and Silicon Valley, working in private equity and venture capital. Probably should be doing the speech, but she's in the US at the moment. David Finn, he's actually an alumni of this university. And he was second to get this speech, but he went on holidays, so he got stuck with me. David, actually, you know, his PhD has very deep technical capability and knowledge, but he is the founder of Tritium, which would be Australia's most successful clean tech startup venture. He's lived through that full cycle, from working out of his garage to a public listing on the NASDAQ last year. Then you have myself. My background is manufacturing and in developing business and growth of business, and I was fortunate enough to be the very first investor in Tritium, along with David. What's our differentiator? You can't make energy without hardware. And to do hardware, you need to know how to do manufacturing, and that's the differentiator we bring as a venture capital fund. We have manufacturing available and on demand and the expertise to draw on. So in my spare time, I have another business called Varley Group. We're an engineering manufacturing business. And within that, we have a broad depth of understanding of how to commercialise product, right through to how to set up actual moving production lines to create product at volume. We actually have nationwide coverage here, both for manufacturing and servicing. We are also established in the United States and in the Middle East to help out. We're very hands-on, who we pick and who we go with. And so for us, one of the critical decisions is who's the team that we're going to invest in. Okay, we spend quite a bit of time in doing our due diligence on the actual team. We look at the founders, who's around them, what their passion is, how good are they at understanding what is best, and how intellectually honest are they. A lot of inventors already believe that their technology is the best and get a little blindsided and don't tend to be realistic in it. But then the missing ingredient often is that what we refer to here as the economics. That understanding of how you're going to grow a business, how you're going to make that business viable. And we look for businesses who want to go on a global scale. And we take, as I said, very hands-on. Usually in all our investments so far, we've taken on a director's role in the company. We've actually been doing this for a little while now, over 10 years. And we've actually done 13 investments so far. We just haven't gone public before. We've sort of done it privately and realised that we're reasonably good at it, and what we need to do, but for where we're at the moment, as a nation, if we are going to achieve our targets and we are going to transform this nation, we need to accelerate what we're doing. And for that, we realised that we need to get more funds and we need to back those smart startups. What we also have done is, if you look at it, we've actually exited 6 of those, and part of that is knowing when our role's over. When we've taken a startup, we've grown them and developed them to a certain size, our job's done. We can hand them over then to someone else to run that as a business and drive it. We basically have 4 sectors in our investment theses that we look at: generation, distribution, storage, and consumption. And today, being battery day, we're going to look at storage. So the big sector for storage is electric batteries. And at the moment, lithium ion is pretty much dominating that market sector at the moment. So why would we invest in this area? The main reason is growth. If you look at this chart behind me, this is from McKinsey's study that came out early this year. They're basically saying that the lithium-ion battery market will grow by 7-fold by the time of 2030. And who's driving this growth? And if you look at the breakdown of it, it's mobility. Predominantly electric vehicles, as we all start to transition to electric cars, buses, scooters. But you're seeing the emergence now, electric boats, planes, other areas. So mobility is really what's driving that market an awful lot. They do have stationary in there as well, but they've only got that at quite low growth. So who's supplying the batteries? If we look at the makeup now for lithium-ion battery suppliers, you go through that list, it's pretty much China. There's a bit of Korea, a bit of Japan, but it's China. And the reality is China's probably going to scale up easier and faster than anyone else to meet that growth demand. So it's going to be a very difficult market to enter. Even though there's a lot of opportunity in that size of that growth, it is going to be hard to break into for how well established it is right now. And the other factor that's occurred is, if you look at the graph up the top, is how the cost base has come down in lithium ion over the last decade. It's dropped significantly. The last 2 years, it's bumped up a little bit, and that's probably the supply-demand issue, where supply chains are all disrupted by COVID and the inflationary effect. But I would expect with that growth in volume, we'll continue to see that cost base trend downwards with it. So how are you going to enter this market? What would we be looking for? You've either got to have somebody who's coming in with much better unit economics. You've got to be able to enter this market and produce it cheaper than anyone else. You've got to be able to then maybe address that supply side constraints in it. And actually Australia is well positioned in this. The volume of lithium that we have is something that we can tap into. And we can create, I guess, a battery industry here. I guess we've got to find a way to get the miners to stop selling it overseas and look to sell it locally first. And that way we do have an advantage there where we can create an industry in it. The other one is we get into higher level sort of integration. You start to create subcomponents, not so much just a battery, but a battery that's integrated into a subcomponent that fits better into an assembly line somewhere else. The other aspect then is looking at a step change in technology, and the graph down the bottom is, I guess, a variation on different chemistries for lithium-ion batteries. So a lot of that's already been trialled, played around with, but the one I think that they see a lot of promise in is solid state. Now, one of the issues now in technology change in this battery market is its actual time to market and trying to work out when that's going to occur. One of the problems from an investor's point of view is trying to understand exactly what the time frame will be. You have a couple of issues here. If you look at a top-down approach, it tends to be influenced a lot by opinion on what people think are going to occur in the market. If we look at a bottom-up approach, which is starting to look at who are going to be the users and how much they'll want, it's often can double count in it. So it's difficult to get a reliable position on time frame to enter the market. And if you look at these two charts here, a little old but pretty similar. One's 2019, one's 2020. One says solid state will be entering the market in a capacity in 2030, and the other one says 2026. And for where we're at now, that's quite a deviation in time frame. For us, where we're at, this is probably not the market we'll look to invest in. It's already such a well-established market. It's already global with supply chains out of it. So where do we see opportunity? Ours is in long-duration energy storage in the stationary market. Now, that McKenzie graph that I put up before showed very little growth in that area, but that was for lithium-ion batteries. Where we see the opportunity is in alternative energy, and a lot of that is starting to emerge now. We look at the options that are out there at the moment. So the redox flow batteries, we had the Minister mention those. There's quite a few people starting to play in that. Storing energy in a chemical reaction effectively is what it is, and being then able to hold that for quite a duration. Thermal energy, again, there's a lot of different startups playing in this area too, but storing heat and being able to use that heat and transform that into different forms of energy as you want to use it. Mechanical, hard to believe that something that's hundreds of years old now is making a comeback, but the flywheel is actually starting to get a lot of interest out of it, and you've got companies like NASA who are starting to invest significantly in the flywheel. Actually, a mate of mine, he installed a flywheel in the mine at Marble Bar probably about 10 years ago now, I would say, with it. Hydrogen. I think, we listen to a lot of governments around the world. That's going to be the great saviour. That's our clean energy future. It has a lot of promise, I must admit, but it also has a lot of technical challenges. And one of the things when we're looking at startups in that area is trying to understand that technology and how they're going to overcome some of the fundamental problems that the smallest atom gives us. Pumped hydro, there's some who believe in this, there's many who don't. trying to build a new dam, well, that's a challenge. My personal view, I think pump hydro works very well if you use it as a reserve and you wait till the price of energy goes up quite a lot and then you tap into it. I think it's got benefits. The last one, compressed air, I must admit I don't know very much about that sector at all and how that works. But I have been approached more recently by an overseas firm that's offering golf carts and scooters that are totally run on compressed air. That. So out of these technologies at the moment, when Jekara is currently quite active in exploring the redox flow batteries, talking to a few of the companies here in Australia about that. Generally, again, you know, they are looking for that assistance in that manufacturing knowledge. We are actively invested in thermal energy and in hydrogen. MGA Thermal, we've been in that company now for, I'd say, 2.5 years, I think, with that. Been a director on that company. Likewise, it is designed to store large-scale energy. Right, we're talking about being able to scale this up into the gigawatts. Yeah, it's designed to be able to take variable input, intermittent input of energy, and to be able to put a constant output there the whole time. That photo I took literally only a few days ago. That is an ARENA-funded proof of concept pilot that at the moment we are generating steam out of that. It's only at 5 megawatt hour, which is small. We'll never build one at that scale for this, but we're ramping up the steam to get it to 660 degrees Celsius. And if you've ever had any background in coal-fired power stations, that is the temperature that you drive the coal-fired power station turbines at. So looking at the concept of being able to replace the front end of those power stations. The other one, Larvo. It is a sort of medium duration hydrogen energy storage. It's aimed at 2 sectors at the moment. Household use. So effectively that unit you see up there in the photo is designed to go on the side of your house. It holds the equivalent energy of more than 3 of those Tesla walls on it. Hydrogen does offer greater energy density than certainly lithium ion. And you can run your household off a 7.5 kilowatt roof solar system for it. Should you not have any sunshine, it will run your house for 5 days, driving your air conditioner 24 hours a day in that time. The other one, the lower one, is where we're developing mechanisms for exporting green hydrogen. So taking large solar farms that are built out west more so, being able to create green hydrogen from that power and then being able to store that and export that overseas with that. It is based on a metal hydride that was developed out of the Hydrogen and Energy Research Centre at the University of New South Wales with that. We've been active in, actually, when I first looked at it, I went to the university, it was basically a stainless steel bench with a lot of pipes and bits and pieces on it to then be able to commercialise that into a product and then develop a production line, assembly flow process for it and prove that by building a small run quantity to get that going. And then on those units we built, we've been undertaking test and validation of them. I think you can understand one of the biggest hurdles is trying to convince governments that, especially local governments, that you can strap hydrogen to the side of your house with it. With that. But we've also developed, as part of that too, a dedicated hydrogen-safe facility to do all that testing in. So at the moment, our view is it's the best time to invest. Okay. There's lots of good startups you know, the R&D that comes out of Australia's universities is world class. It's been proven many times. But what do? We then pack it up and send it overseas to commercialise it, and that practice has to stop if we want to remain a wealthy nation, okay? So we need to get those funds, and we need to get them activated in those smart startups who have global leading technology and accelerate them to be global leaders in it, okay? This is the best time too. I think, you know, a lot of investors have run scared and gone back to something that's more safe and secure, which means those who can invest now will probably get the better returns in this sector. I think it's very promising, and I think we're in a very good position in Australia. So, thank you.